Hey, everybody, and welcome to Tribal Trades, the daily show coming at you from the great state of Florida. And just want to warmly welcome you all wherever you are tuning in from around the world. Thanks for watching. And those of you who watch the channel regularly, you know what to do. You know what I'm about to say. Smash that like. This will help get this content out to more people and does help support the channel. I do really appreciate that. And of course, the comments and the questions, love reading those. Thank you for those that take the time to write such kind and encouraging comments. And the questions I get back to as soon as I am able to. Links below are in the description. My cheat sheet is the key link because the cheat sheet also has all the other links from the description as well. So some of you are like, oh, I'm looking around the description. Look, just get the cheat sheet right at the top. You've got the whole lot right there. And you've got all my entries and exits for many altcoins, lots of other free educational resources just for you. And there's the Stocks with Josh Discord, the best Discord on the planet. If you haven't signed up for that, link below in the description. That was where I gave the blub trade when it was a 5 million market cap. If you had been in the Discord and got on that, then I think my original buy, I'm up around 800% on that blub buy. And we'll be talking about blub in the altcoin video, which is coming up in just a couple of hours. So don't miss out on that one there. Okay, we're going to jump into some news events here. And first of all, this is not a news event whatsoever. I just thought that was pretty funny because I used to actually live where this is in Coleroy Plateau. And I used to actually live in Coleroy Plateau. And the Coleroy Plateau, and those are huntsman spiders up there. I'm not sure what you'd be doing. Okay, Rolling says, burn the house down, pour acid on the smoking rubble, blow up the demolition site, never ever return there. And actually, when I was in Coleroy Plateau, I had one of those in the we were staying at. And so I just can't imagine that many there. But certainly let me know in the comments what you'd be doing if you woke up and was what you found in your house that deter you from visiting Australia. I've never seen that in person before. I've only ever seen one big huntsman spider and they're not deadly spiders. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny there. But check out that video. Nature is amazing. Meanwhile, in Australia, I thought that was pretty funny. I wanted to share that, a little bit of fun there. All right, so Jerome Powell got me yesterday. Don't bet against the Fed, I tell you, because I predicted a 25 basis point hike, and Jerome just went ahead and said, nah, 50, and did the 50 basis points. And so definitely that. I did say there was a 1%. So you're saying there's a chance. I did say there was a 1% chance, and that 1% chance got nailed. Rome there. So anyway, funny times there with that. And certainly I will say I do agree with Arthur Hayes here. He did say that the rate cut is politically driven. And I do agree with that. I think that it was premature to cut by so much. Yes, he sees something on the horizon because now he's basically saying he made a mistake in the last one where he didn't cut 25 and then another 21, and now he's having to rush in and do 50 basis points there. So certainly I'm not saying that's not bullish for the market. I think it is, but long term, how is this going to affect? Now he's already shot a couple of bullets from his gun. And how has he got many bullets left there? Fire, because once you get to zero, where are you going to go? So hopefully that hasn't been premature, and hopefully they've nailed that there. See how that shakes out there on the market. And certainly time will tell. Time will tell how that all plays out. Here, how will this affect the price of Bitcoin? Let's look at the impact of the Federal Reserve interest rate cuts and hikes on the price of Bitcoin over the past 10 years. And you can have a look on here. I actually wish they just isolated the cuts, but it's got the cuts and You can see there happens with Bitcoin price, but I'll let you check that out. Definitely follow Look on Chain there. Good data on there, and you can kind of do a little bit of a deep dive. We're not going to do that on the show today, just for time's sake, but I just wanted to show you in case you're interested in jumping into that there. Also have Grok, their Bitcoin report. I think it's pretty bullish, a unique diversifier in which they compare the performance of Bitcoin to other assets. Obviously, Bitcoin leaves everything else in the dust here. You can see, and this is just part of the report. They certainly have more there that you can see. Certainly, you can see the returns there for Bitcoin in comparison to other asset classes. Very bullish to have the trillion-dollar asset manager BlackRock in the Bitcoin corner. And speaking of Bitcoin, it's forming a head and shoulders pattern. Macro resistance is 61K. We're currently above that, I believe, and a break and a hold, and we'll teleport to 69. Teleport. Who would like to teleport and see Bitcoin teleport to 69K with haste? Please advise, this is not a drill. I love the drama on crypto Twitter, but certainly that looks like it's playing out, and I think we do see eventually a return to that 69K there. Will we see a little bit of a pullback? We could see a little bit of a pullback there, and we could see a little bit of a drop back, but we'll see what shakes out with that inverse head and shoulders. We also have the bull flag. It amazes me to see still some bearishness out there on the markets when we have all these indicators, and I don't go off feelings. Sometimes people state that they're bearish and Bitcoin's going to 40 something. I'm like, okay, what leads you to come to that conclusion that it's going to come down to that level? And certainly that's the questions that I ask. And usually there's I feel that the economy's not going to, So like, I can't trade off feelings. You can't trade off emotion, trade off charts, trade off bullish flags and inverse head and shoulders and funding rates and the fear and greed index. You take all of those in confluence. And that's why I believe I've been able to call this market so accurately over the last 3 months, because I take all of the bigger picture in and I present that in a very unbiased fashion, okay? It's a bull flag, okay? A bull flag that identifies as a bear flag, okay? All right, so we've got, is it going to be September here? Bitcoin is now in the green for September, just like it was last year. Since 2013, when Bitcoin is a green September, it also is a green October, November, and December. And definitely, I did a video saying, is it going to be a rectember or a September? And I was saying, September, let's go. I also had said that I felt the low was in, local low was in on September 6th, and that is the case. Now, we might make, there's time for September to come back and break that 6th of September low there, but certainly in halving years, the September low has always been in historically before September 8th. Okay, and on average, it's been in on an average within over all the years, 14 days. 14 days, and we're past both of those. So the likelihood of Bitcoin now dropping hard and below that September 6th low, which I think was about 52,000, is extremely less likely now. Okay, and then once we come into October, sure, you could have that real big flash crash dump, wipe out all those excited over leveraged longs in there. But certainly I feel quite bullish, and the markets feel quite bullish there for Bitcoin for September. We're going to see all these shorts liquidated at 65K. And when they do get liquidated, which they will when it gets there, that's just going to push it on to 69K. As soon as you see those shorts liquidated, that's going to push the price of Bitcoin up higher there. Okay, so keep an eye on the 65K level. And like I said, look, a few days ago I've been saying last chance, and this could be the last opportunity, because I said between a couple of days ago, I said between now, which was a few days ago, before we had this pump, by the way, in mid-October is where we usually see Bitcoin skyrocket historically. And so those of you who are following and bought this long dip of 3+ months, you're going to be in some pretty green territory right now, as am I. Okay, and then again, look, I just look at all these factors here. Charles Edwards here, full pivot into strong economy, soft or no landing expecting, easing rate regime targeting drop to 3% next year, equities all-time highs, gold leading Bitcoin more than in 2020, seasonally Q4 in place. All these bullish things here. There's still some people calling Bitcoin going to 42. Look, while it's possible, because Bitcoin historically like to retest the yearly open, but also remember Bitcoin did reach an all-time high before the halving as well. So a couple of things have shifted there. So look, it may still come down and do that. I think that is the least likely scenario. I think we're more likely if we have a drop, we don't come down that far. And certainly if there is any drop, it's just a pullback there to add some more in before we go up. Certainly there was a lot of orders down at that 50K level, 51K level. Certainly keep an eye on those levels. All right, so let's look at the charts here for Bitcoin. And we just took off. And again, look, I called all three of these lows. When this low was in, I said we were in extreme fear. The funding rates were extremely negative. The market was completely oversold. And that's just a local bottom signal. And it just down we go. And all the longs have been liquidated. There wasn't really much more to be liquidated. And so those of you who bought that July low, I remember on July 4th, I was at the beach. I was out of range for a little bit. I had all these buy orders ready to go. They all got hit. I was on Discord a lot, by the way. If you remember, you're on Discord with me. And I was saying, I'm buying here, I'm buying here, I'm buying here. Same thing in August. I called the August bottom. I had this trend line actually in place before this dip even happened. And I said that this was the low was in August, and I've said it again here with September that I believe the low is also in. And I've said that all the way up. We had people calling for 47, and those same people are still calling for 47 up here. And so we went from 52 to 62, so 10,000 to the upside. So those people that were calling for 47, it went the other way. And so it went from 52 to 62. It did not go to 47. And while we may still possibly come down there, the likelihood is obviously just getting lower and lower. We certainly have some resistance here. We're coming into some resistance area here. But let's talk about what could happen from here. Now, look, certainly the 50 basis point rate hike is more bullish than 25 in the short term, okay? And we have broken above the 200 EMA powerfully. Now, generally speaking, we've just wanted to come back to it like a magnet. But I did say that when Bitcoin takes off, it takes off violently and will really leave you no opportunity to get back in again. So we haven't quite seen that yet with volume down here. We haven't quite seen a huge spike in volume. So my thoughts are that we could see a little bit of a pullback back to this 200 EMA on the daily, which is about 59,600 at the moment. The 50-day moving average is also pretty close to that. Remember what I said, what happens here? Usually you see your kind of last chance saloon to buy the dip. And I posted that a couple of days ago, and look what happened after these two hit and crossed each other there. Basically here, we could just keep pushing up to 65. I do expect some resistance there, but also if shorts are liquidated, we could pop up and deviate before coming back, retesting 65 before going up. That's one scenario there. Scenario number two is popping up to 65 and actually getting rejected and coming back and having a little bit of a pullback into this area here where which the 50-day moving average should have moved up, 200 EMA, and the 50 moving average should have moved up to around that 60K level and coming back and retesting that 60 to 61. So that's the second thing that might happen there. The third thing that might happen is we might just get stuck here. We can see we had a breakdown from here, consolidated, and then there was a second larger candle that broke down from here. And so we've almost eaten up that entire candle here, or maybe we have actually to the so we'd actually just kind of pivot here for a moment before coming back and a retest here before then making another attempt to go higher and then maybe playing out scenarios 1 or 2. The next scenario here is obviously that we could come back and then break below the 200 EMA. I would not be worried about that at all, because historically that's what it's done up until October, until about the beginning to middle of October. So we could actually come down, break down below that, because this is just a news event that it's purely pumped off that news event there. That's been the catalyst. And then to come back and break down, and we could just obviously the levels to hold first of all is going to be around this 59 to 58k level right here. That's my first level of support. If we break down below that and retest and come back above, that's great. If we break down further, then obviously you have these wicks down here with support over here, down around about that high 56, low 57 level. But also you just have this, and then you've got, again, as I've said this on previous videos, so I won't spend a lot of time on here, there's 54 level, and then back down these 52, 51. A lot of orders were sitting around here. I'd have to check the order book if they're still on there, if they've been removed there from the book. So what do I think is the most likely scenario from here? I certainly think this is quite a move here, and we did have a little bit of consolidation, but I think it wouldn't be unusual for Bitcoin to come back and retest this 50-day moving average. So it's just about whether or not it peaks up a little bit higher and comes into here around 64, 65, and then comes back to retest, or whether it retests. But I do think the most likely scenario is we do come down and at least retest this 200 EMA with the 50-day moving average as well. Alrighty, so lastly, there was a question, I thought it was a good question on YouTube about whether to sell Bitcoin into altcoins, because from here, if Bitcoin only goes up to 120, that's a 2x situation. Maybe it only gets up to 102, 110k, and it's not even doubling your money from here into some altcoins. So a couple of things I'll make mention of is, number one, it's very difficult for me to answer that question on behalf of anybody, because I don't know how much Bitcoin you have, what you bought it at, what it means to you, what other assets or altcoins that you have, or stocks, or do you own your own home fully, you're paying off a mortgage, are you supporting your kids, all of these massive amount of questions that I don't know the answers to. So I can't answer that question. Well, I can't even really answer that definitively. So what I would say is this, is that be very, very, if I had Bitcoin, there's only 21 million, and you don't know, maybe it does go to 250, 350,000 in this cycle. Maybe this will be the cycle of Bitcoin. A lot of alts haven't done very well. Most of the altcoin market for 2024, only about 40 alts have outperformed Bitcoin this year, and the main percentage of those have been meme coins. So most other alts have struggled. So I'd be very cautious and careful about that. I'd also say, if you were looking to put some Bitcoin into some altcoins, you'd want to make sure that not altcoins that have already just had a massive God candle pump, okay? You don't want to take and put into something that's then going to have a bit of a pullback. You'd want to look at alts that quality alts that haven't popped off yet. And I'll be covering that in my altcoin video in a little bit. What are some quality alts that haven't quite popped off yet? And then secondly, if I was to sell any Bitcoin into altcoins, which I did before the altcoins pumped, I sold Bitcoin into some altcoins that went up and now gone up 100%. And for Bitcoin to have done that, it hasn't gone up 100%. It's only gone up, however many percent it's gone up. And so that turned out to be a good trade. So I think timing is key as well. You don't want to take Bitcoin and put it into strong alts, but these strong alts have already taken off and they've already got massive gains, and they really are looking like they're going to pull back. Remember, we want to buy blood, and there's nothing wrong with selling a coin at the bottom to another coin that's also near its bottom. To be careful, if you sell a coin that's at or near its bottom and then sell into an altcoin that's already zoomed up, because then it just pulls back and you're like, oh, I was in loss on here and now I'm more in loss. And that's what people tend to do. This is the mistake they made. They go, oh my gosh, this coin just took off 30, 50% or 100%. I'm going to sell all this coin I'm at the bottom and put it into here. And then this coin goes down. Look at HNT for an example, helium. We'll look at that in the altcoin show. Absolutely took off. If you'd taken your altcoin at the bottom and put it up, now it's pulled back. And that's a perfect example. So I don't have an answer to that question. I don't have a definitive answer to that question. It's a very good question. All I would say is that timing it from moving it from one Bitcoin to an altcoin has to be the right altcoin, a strong altcoin that hasn't popped off yet. So I hope that helps out. I know that's not really an answer. I can't, in good conscience, give an answer to that question without knowing the full picture there. But what I want you to do is look at what my thought process is. And if you can take that thought process and apply it to your situation, I hope that helps you make better decisions. And remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. Are you not entertained? And until the next episode, which is going to be in a couple of hours, check out the Altcoin Show. Happy trading.